The Honourable Mark Pearson.
Thank you, Mr President. My question is to the Honourable Niall Blair, Minister for Primary Industries. The current egg production regulatory framework allows for the live maceration or gassing to death of millions of newly hatched male chicks as industry wastage because they are of no economic benefit to the industry. Gene technology can now differentiate between male and female chicks in the early egg incubation phase, with German researchers soon to release a commercially viable in ovo sexing test, which will result in the destruction of male embryo eggs prior to sensibility and the capacity to feel distress and pain. Can the Minister advise when the Code of Practice for the Welfare of Animals, Domestic Poultry, will prohibit live maceration and gassing of male chicks as an unjustifiable practice? Thank you.
Mr President, I thank the honourable member for his question, and I also thank him for highlighting what the industry is doing when it comes to research and also the investment that they have put into the type of sexing research that is occurring, particularly in the egg production industry. And this is a good example of how our primary producers right across a lot of our food and fibre production in this state are addressing issues that their consumers are concerned about and making sure that they put records amount of money into such research, but also making sure that they are continuing to have a look at their production processes and look at the types of innovation and technology that's available not just here in Australia but around the world. And Mr President, that's something that we all should be standing up and saying that is exactly what we want to see from our mature primary producers, primary industry sector in this state, because they are investing in better techniques, in some cases, whether it's animal husbandry techniques, whether it's the research into other things like, again, as the member has highlighted with the sexting issue, with egg production. And Mr President, that's what we can ask of our industries. And this is not something that Hansard took care of that. It was sexting. It wasn't sexting. Although I've just reiterated it.
Well done. Yeah, seriously.
They fixed it and then I undid it, and then there it is now. So I apologise to the House, Mr President. My point is, Mr President, that this is something that we don't need government to be telling industry what to do. In this case, our primary producers are leading the charge on this. They are backing up these actions with records amount of money. They are at the forefront of making sure that they are responsive to some of these issues in their industry. For some further information, the industry is funding research by the CSIRO to enable the sexing of chickens in the early development phase in the egg. This will mean that sexing can occur close to point of lay and not require incubating and hatching of male chicks. Again, something that the industry is doing in cooperation with CSIRO. A great example, Mr President, of how our primary producers are working within their own industry. Don't need us to be coming down heavy-handedly in some cases in relation to putting in legislation to tell them to do it, because they're already doing it. Mr President, I've also spoken in this House previously about our pork sector, and I know the member is concerned about the issue around sow stalls. Again, the industry itself has determined that they are going to voluntarily get rid of sow stalls, and they have over 70% of the sector that has already gone down that path. Not because we told them to do, they were already doing it. They already understood the issue, and they've gone and put their money where their mouth is. They're working within all of their producers to address these issues. Mr President, I'm proud of our primary producers in this state. They understand the issues that their consumers are concerned about, and whether it's mulesing, whether it's egg production, or whether it's our pork producers, they are leading the charge. They don't need us to tell them what to do because they're already doing it.
Supplementary question.
The Honourable Mark Pearson on a supplementary question.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Would the Minister please go to the specificity of the question, which relates to when it is available, the desexing of the chicks in ovo, will the government amend the model code of practice to incorporate it to be prohibited to allow maceration and gassing of male chicks?
Mr. President, I thank the member for his supplementary question. Mr. President, without going over too much of the ground that I covered previously in my answer, layer chickens are specifically bred for egg production, and the male chickens are unsuitable for rearing for meat. As such, male layer chickens are killed upon hatching and sexing of the chickens at layer hen hatcheries. This is recognised practice in the industry globally. Maceration is a humane method of killing day-old chickens, as the chickens are killed instantly. It is recommended in the current National Model Code of Practice for the Welfare of Animals, Domestic Poultry, 4th edition. The industry is funding research by the CSIRO to enable the sexing of chickens in the early development phase in the egg. This will mean that sexing can occur close to point of lay and not require incubating and hatching of male chicks.